Hi there, so I'm going to show you how to make custom subtitles in Inkscape like these here. So they're PNG images with a transparent background, and they're 1080p images, so you can easily put them in as overlays if you're doing video editing or whatever. So open up Inkscape here. I'm going to go to File, New from Template, Desktop, and I'm going to choose a desktop size of 1920 by 1080 or whatever size we want it to be. So create from template. Then we're going to hit Control-Shift-F, Control-Shift-A, and Control-Shift-E. So F-A-E, Fae. Control-Shift-F, Control-Shift-A, and then E. So this is the fill and stroke, it's the align and distribute, and the export PNG tabs. So you can find those under object or under file here. So the first thing we're going to do is make some text. So go down here to F8 and click there to make text. Just click and drag along the bottom like this, and you can start typing. If it doesn't show up your text, you need to click this button here just to make it show up. So we're going to choose a center justification, align center here. By default, it saves us some hassle here. So the next thing we're going to do, we're just going to zoom in, click off to the side, hit the plus key on your keyboard to zoom in, and we just pan with mouse free here by clicking and dragging. So we're going to choose the text side, the font first here. So you can go up here and just click here and hover over it, and then use your arrow keys on your keyboard to go for your text. Sorry, it wasn't highlighted there. There we go. So again, hover over and use your arrow keys on your keyboard to find a text style font rather that you would like to use. So we'll go with this one. So we just click, and I'm going to go to fill and stroke now. And the first tab, fill, we just make sure it's selected on flat color. We can change the color of stuff here. We're going to go for a yellow, and I'm going to go to stroke paint and just click the first one again, flat color, and we're going to go for a red type color. And next we're going to go to stroke style, and you can increase the size of your kind of border here, your stroke size here, via the width, and you can also change it from dashes to two dashes, or just a straight solid line, or some kind of custom thing. And based on what you choose here, you have all these other options you can mess around with here. So we're going to bring that back a little bit, and we're going to kind of lighten this up a bit, just because you usually want kind of lighter, kind of softer colors for text. So that's okay. It could be a bit more contrast on it. Let's actually add a bit more red here. Yeah. Okay, good enough. So next, we want to see how this looks with a picture of what we're going to use it with. So if we take a PNG snapshot of our footage, since I'm assuming we're going to be using this for something like a video editing or whatever. So we're importing a snapshot just by clicking and dragging it into our workspace here. And this is a 1080p image, but Inkscape kind of upscales it a bit here, so we can fix that by going to the width, assigning it to 1920, and the height 1080. And we want to center that on the page here. So as we zoom out, this is our workspace here. So center it, go to align, distribute, and these two middle options here. Just make sure page is selected here. And one thing I forgot is we need to assign layers here. Okay, so we're going to go to layer, and just layers, and what we want to do is assign a new layer here. So just hit the create new layer bar, layer 2 above, and we're just going to assign our text to layer 2 by right clicking, go to layer, move the layer, and then layer 2, and then move. And we'll just put this back since it's on layer 1 by default, and ta-da. So we're just going to zoom in here, and we're just going to bring this down using the Y coordinates there. And we'll just blow it up, the text, by double clicking in here to access the text settings. And we'll go up here and we'll just increase the size to 48. That looks okay. So we want to use it for this scene here. Well, we need a bit more contrast, so you can fool around with that on your own time. But next, we want to align it so it's centered. So we just have it highlighted. We go to align, just click the center one there. And again, to adjust the height, you can go via going to the select tool and then just adjusting it here, or you can just manually move it and then just center it again, however you want to do that. So after you kind of get your text the way you want it, what you want to do is export it. And to make sure you're doing it as a transparent PNG, you want to go to File and Document Properties and make sure this is all the way to 0 here. So just drag it down to 0 like so. And as well, you can take out the border shadow and put this setting on, and you can change the border color as well. This makes it a bit easier to see where your page is after you have a lot of junk on it. So next, we're just going to hide layer 1 there, and then we're going to export this stuff. So we would choose a location and just name it based on that. Name it 1, then just export. Then what we would do is we would edit this again and type in our other whatever lines we want. It's a nice day today. And then we just repeat over and over again. Make sure a page is selected for the export area. I always get these mixed up, but basically if you look at the image size, it should be 1920 by 1080, which is our drawing page size thing. So just page is what we want, make sure it's selected. If you go multiple lines or you have a really long kind of text, what you want to do is go to A1, just make sure you're inside again by double clicking, and you can adjust this. So basically what this does is if your text hits here, it'll wrap down to a second line. And if we want it to be even on both sides, we can just hit center again and make sure it's relative to the page here. So we can just keep typing so we get 2 lines here. And to fix this, you just go up here and you can just bring it down bit by bit to something you like. And we're just going to bring this up to something like this. There. And you would just continue in that fashion, renaming it again, change it to 2 or whatever, and then just export again and again and again. So once you get it for some of these, you basically want to just copy, paste it off the side, and you can just edit this to be a different character's text. So I could change the font style again, and I could change the fill and stroke values if I want to. And then I would simply just repeat the process over and over again. And if I needed to, bring this back to here, for example, the best way is to get it to be one-liners, and then to have it line up to where you want it, you just again look at the height, which is whatever that is, copy that, and I can just paste it into here and just align center again. So easy way to line things up if you need it to be exact. For our purposes of video editing in the program we're using, we just need it to be centered. We can easily change the height in that program. If you're using a different program, you could probably easily center it as well, so you might not need to worry about this at all. So when you export, you should get just PNG images shown like before. So one other thing I'm going to show you is how to add gradients to this. So you would go here, go to create and edit gradient, click that, click the text you want to edit, and then go up here, and we're going to choose linear gradient, and we want to apply it to the fill here. So we just left click and then release, and we click on this node here, and go down to fill and stroke again, and change the opacity up to 100%. It goes to 0 by default. and we just add a color. And as you can see, we have a gradient now. We can apply more nodes if we want to add more colors. We can mess around with all this stuff here. I'll let you do that on your own time. And you can apply the gradient to the stroke as well as a separate gradient. So again, the stroke was the border outline of that stuff. And as well, you have the option of getting your gradient stuff via here. So a few options there. If you want a radial gradient, you can click here and you just do the same thing and it brings this up and it'll give you a different kind of effect and whatnot. And if you want to move this text with the gradient, you just go up here and make sure this is selected. If it's not selected, your gradient stays in the same location and it'll affect your text based on where you move it from that location. So the other thing is you can add some filters to your text. You can just go up filter and let me just add tinfoil here, for example. And you get some weird kind of effects that may or may not be good, that you may or may not want. You can mess around with these. As well, you can use GIMP. I like the filters in GIMP better, but I like using the text options in Inkscape better. And you have this whole kind of crazy workspace to fool around with Inkscape, which is really nice. So I like doing it here. And that's all I want to show you. Thanks for your time, and bye-bye.